Danzig.
And I'm Hannah Hampton, and you're listening to HR After Hours.
Well, hello, and welcome to HR After Hours podcast, the only podcast on the short list of opponents for Conor McGregor's next UFC comeback attempt. And well, honestly, my money's on Hanna. Hannah Hampton, my favorite Sith Lord in the entire galaxy. How the heck are you today?
Oh, I'm okay. How about yourself?
I'm doing all right. It's been a crazy summer so far. Hot. 4th of July was fairly recent, and I found something that would have driven me insane. They're calling this the autonomous 4th of July meltdown. Self-driving vehicle companies have spent billions trying to perfect navigating urban environments. However, robo-taxis met their ultimate match on the 4th of July, a completely gridlocked holiday traffic jam. It says a massive influx of pedestrians and vehicles leaving a fireworks display caused an intense bottleneck, lacking a human driver's ability to aggressively nudge into lane or understanding the informal wave of a hand. Dozens of autonomous vehicles simultaneously suffered what engineers called a localization and routing paralysis. Essentially, the onboard AI realized it was completely boxed in with no legal, safe path forward. And then the robo-taxis simply turned on their hazard lights, rolled up their windows, and died, which is considered entering safe mode for them, right in the middle of active lanes. It seems like this is something that reinforces your beliefs that we are not at risk of losing our jobs to AI.
Yeah, not yet. I don't think it's there yet. So, yeah.
We can pick AI topic after AI topic, but I think this one kind of says, hey, y'all, put a little chill on it, pump the brakes. Everything's going to be okay. I will tell you, the more I've looked at different AI models and played with them and tested them, not at risk of taking over the world yet. I saw one recently.
Yeah, and that's my thing. And I'm not saying like, oh, it's never, this is as smart as they'll get. Like they continue to learn and grow. But as of today, where it is, I'm like, meh, I'm not too worried about it. But I'm adding that caveat as you think about technology and how fast it changes and evolves. That doesn't mean that we won't have smarter, better, faster, stronger AI in the future.
Absolutely. And again, put a little HR hat on this one for a second. This is just more proof that if you are blindly throwing your documents or emails or things into AI, just copying and pasting without proofing them, man, you're putting a lot of faith into something that's in still, I would consider, if not infant toddler stages. My HR after hours obsession was YouTube. And one of the rabbit holes I've gone down on is people fucking with AI to prove that it's not the end all be all. And my favorite were a kid's talking and he said, all right, I'm going to run this mile. I want you to time me and go. And then he stomped his feet a couple times and then said, all right, I'm back. How long did it take? And the AI said 10 minutes. And it had literally been 10 seconds. And so then he starts going, are you sure? And the AI was like, I am 100% factually correct here. You can argue with me all you want, and I can show you the research, but that was 10 minutes. And it argued with him about it. That's some film that's been shared with companies like ChatGPT. And they're like, we're working on it. That's 2 models ago. It is what it is. But the reason I'd go that far is I think you may have a little obsessions topic for us today.
I do. My current obsession is Tales from the Crypt. I know that's an old, like late 80s, early 90s show from HBO, but it recently landed on Shudder, which funny, I actually have a box set of Tales from the Crypt. I'm a big anthology lover. I love Twilight Zone, and then from my childhood in the 80s, Tales from the Dark Side, and then the reboots of Twilight Zone and Alfred Hitchcock. But Tales from the Crypt is one that it's really more, related to the 90s because it started in 89 and then ran through 1996. But I have been kind of waiting with bated breath for this to come to streaming because it never landed on any of HBO's streaming services, which famously tied up with various rights issues because there was, I think, a number of companies owned the rights to Tales from the Crypt. It was a TV show that was based on the old EC comics, and I believe of like the 40s, 50s, 60s. So they based it on, there was a Tales from the Crypt comic, there was the Vault of Horror and the Haunt of Fear. So those were the three different comic book series that the series was based on. It's a really great show. If you look at a lot of anthology series, they have some themes. Everyone says the Tales from the Crypt, their theme is the just desert. So it's bad people doing bad things and then getting punished for it. I hate to say it, but sometimes that could be a fun thing to watch.
That's probably the hook, right? It's
Yeah.
they're gonna get there. So it allows you to almost tolerate
Hmm.
their disgusting behavior because you know in the end,
Yes.
aha, they're gonna
They're
get
gonna
there.
Yeah, they're gonna get something. That is definitely the case, and it's fun because, there was the straight up horror episodes, there were thriller episodes, and then some supernatural episodes, and again, there was either, there was some great twists or just, that people were gonna get what they deserved. What I love about the show, it was done on HBO, which if you recall, I mean, it's still this way, network TV, certain swear words were not allowed. Certainly no TNA. You weren't able to see, the boobs and the gore that horror films were synonymous for. But on HBO, they could do all of these things. So
Right.
that attracted, especially you think about like, I hate to say it, younger folks, teenagers, 20 something. So I think that this is one of those shows that a lot of Gen X and maybe older millennials or zennials remember fondly as something that if they were lucky enough to have HBO, that they would watch and get to see all of that delightful horror. The other thing I love to point out about why the show was so much fun and so great, it attracted a lot of A-list Hollywood talent. And if you remember, back in the early 90s, this was before prestige TV. The Sopranos wasn't out yet, so I feel like The Sopranos really ushered in that prestige TV where it did attract all types of stars. Back in the day, film stars didn't do television. That was kind of where you're put off to pasture. If you couldn't make it in film, you went to TV. That's kind of how it was. But this did attract a lot of really great Hollywood, like A-list Hollywood talent. Like a young Brad Pitt was in an episode. Demi Moore was in an
Mm.
episode. Arnold
Oh
Schwarzenegger
yeah.
directed an episode. Kirk Douglas was in an episode. Steve Buscemi, Bill Paxton, Tom Hanks directed an episode. So this really attracted some great A-list Hollywood, and then some directors. Robert Zemeckis directed one of my favorite episodes called "And All Through the House."
Yep.
Richard Donner did some episodes. Walter Hill, and like I said, Tom Hanks, Arnold Schwarzenegger, Michael J. Fox, Kyle MacLachlan actually directed an episode as well. It was one of those shows that attracted A-list Hollywood. So what I've been doing, I literally just started because they really released it just in the past couple of months. I think maybe in April or May. I can't remember exactly, but I've been taking it slow. But I've been watching them and then listening to podcasts. They'll give anyone a podcast, won't they? Uh,
It's too easy these days.
but I have been listening to podcasts to like align with them. I found one that I've just been enjoying, and they interview people who were a part of the show. The theme is that everyone had the best time doing it, and they got paid kind of the basic rates. Like, people were not making a lot of money on the show, because especially the first season, because nobody knew how it was going to, how people were going to react to it, if it was going to do well. But they talked about, "Hey, we didn't get paid much for it, but we had the best time." And I keep hearing that from the interviews time and time again. So for me, the fact that a show that I found beloved, the people who were in it just it loved the process of making the show and had the best time, makes it even better to me. And it's just so funny to think about the, horror movies, which I know you are a fan and I'm a fan. But you think about, people are actually having the best time and enjoying themselves behind the scenes many times, and that makes it just that much more fun. This is my current obsession, Tales from the Crypt. I'm slowly making my way through it, and I'm taking it slow because it's really easy in this day and age to just binge watch things, and then all of a sudden, you finished it in a couple of weeks, in a month, whatever it might be, and I'm just trying to savor it and really enjoy the show. So, I know I just did a lot. I really shared a lot of information. I want to ask you, Mick, did you watch Tales from the Crypt?
Oh, absolutely. I was that target, "Oh my gosh, is there a chance for boobies and blood?" market back then. Well, I mean, it is. So you're right. It was pre-prestige TV, which HBO, like you said, The Sopranos, I think The Wire,
Yep.
those were all that.
Heck, 6 Feet Under is another one that I feel like
Oh,
was
fan
just
that was a
mm,
very cutting edge show at the time.
and it still resonates. It's still so good. It's probably in my top 5 favorite shows of all time. To me, the best finale of all time was 6 Feet Under, so that, to me, is total prestige TV, along with, obviously, Sopranos, The Wire, and then that ushered its way in for the Breaking Bads, for the House of Cards, all of the
Absolutely.
shows, like, that's, like, it was literally, I don't know, the golden age, the platinum age of television. It's wonderful.
But yeah, so back to this was obviously before all that and
Mhm,
before, HBO went through a massive Emmy run
mhm.
with all that television. But what was cool about this was it was kind of HBO's answer to its competition at the time because if you remember, and I'm going to go to the extreme, like Cinemax, their late night programming was referred to as Skinamax,
Oh, yeah.
uh, because it was what's now TVMA, which that didn't exist back then. TVMA was probably created because of those types of shows.
Mhm.
So HBO obviously has always held itself higher. HBO was the standard. I remember having a box for just HBO in 4th grade and it shutting off at midnight. And we've talked about all that. When they were doing this show, they had nothing to lose, really. It was the first era of demand for content, the content to separate yourself from your competition. Showtime, Cinemax, the movie channel, those were the big competitors of HBO.
Mhm.
I might be missing one. But anyway, that was it. Those were like the ABC, CBS, NBCs of cable television. They were able to just go for it, right?
Mhm.
It's like we're gonna do something that's gonna be considered our late night show, going deep into our resources to just throw everything at this, but also no rules. And that's where people were allowed to have fun and try different things. I'm sure some people were happy for the freedom, and I don't know that there's really been anything. I guess maybe the closest thing I can think of, FX has been doing with their anthology series, but I just don't know that anyone's really come close to this Tales from the Crypt. And I go back and watch them all. I'm recording on like a local CW network the Friday the 13th series, which
Oh, yeah.
is built on what you said more. It even had more of a Gen X following because it was based on these 50s, 60s pulp comics.
Mhm.
You had a boomer audience too, and you had comic book collectors into it. They had a potential built-in fan base that they went after, and it worked.
For sure, for sure. Yeah, and there have been a lot of other, anthology series. You don't see as many, I feel like, now. I mean, of course, we've got Black Mirror, but that's not horror. But I feel like many, many different channels, stations, streamers have tried. There was one, in the mid-2000s called Fear Itself. It was also Masters of Horror, and I'd say that was pretty darn good, but I don't think it picked up the cult following of the earlier ones, the Tales from the Crypt, Tales from the Dark Side, like those types of shows, The Outer Limits, all of that good stuff. So, I'm not even halfway. I'm probably maybe a quarter of the way through the episodes, and a lot of them have still really held up. And that's been the fun where I'm like, some of them I can remember them very vividly and the twists. Others, it's been nice to revisit, and I'm like, oh, yeah, I remembered that's how it went. So it's just been a fun little walk down memory lane, but I have to say some of them have completely held up. The first episode, and now the title's blanking on me, was phenomenal. Like out of the gate, the first one they dropped was so good that I was just like, okay, that's why that the series went so well. And then the second one was an All Through the House, the one that Robert Zemeckis did, and it was a great classic slasher story of the insane person in the Santa suit stalking a woman, and the woman had done a bad thing. So, again, it was her just dessert. I have to say, it's been such a delight to rewatch the series. But that being said, there have been some stinkers, as with any anthology show. Right now, I would say that American Horror Story is an anthology series where it's not an anthology where every episode's a different story, but each season is different. And like that, people have the seasons they love, people have the seasons they hate. I will say there have been some bad episodes, some stinkers, which is why I chose not to have Tales from the Crypt be one of my treadmill shows. And I don't know if I have talked about my treadmill shows. My little trick to get myself to be consistent by spending time on the treadmill daily is by picking shows that I only allow myself to watch when I'm on the treadmill, especially if it's something that's really good. It forces me on the treadmill every single day because I'm ready for that next episode. So it keeps me going. But this one is not my current treadmill show because there are some episodes that are so bad that they would lose my attention or I'd be frustrated, I'd be annoyed. So they're not all great, but the great ones are truly great. Right now, my treadmill show is actually not a show, but me doing a deep dive. It's the 250th, anniversary of this country. So I have been doing a deep dive on American presidents and have been spending time watching documentary about presidents. So I'm trying to get myself to, either do some learning or relearning, re-remembering. I always tell people, like, make sure you learn something new every day. Don't make all of your entertainment kind of mindless things. Work in some really other fun things.
Yeah, I like that. If you got a bad episode while you're on the treadmill, it
Mhm.
just ruins your mojo. You don't want to jump to the next one.
Well, yeah, it's just it feels like a slog, when it feels like a slog where I'm just like, "Oh my god, like, it just feels like it's taking a really long time." It has to be something that really just gets my interest, and I know it's funny, I'm a yogi, and I love yoga, I've talked about it before. When you're doing yoga, you really should be focused on your body, focused on your movement. That's why you don't, like, watch television while you're doing yoga. You're really focused on your yoga practice. But here, I'm just like, I don't care. I want it to be mindless. I don't want to be focused on my breathing, my body. I just want to get my steps in for the day. And if it's by watching TV, that's what I'm going to do. So come at me, get mad at me, whatever. But yeah.
You know me, I always like to dig deep, find obscure things that I'm not aware of. Did you know that the All Through the House episode of Tales from the Crypt, the Santa Claus one you were referring to,
Hmm.
did you know that was actually made into a movie in 1972?
I actually did
Damn
because,
it!
sorry,
No, I
I
figured you
did.
would, actually.
Well, only because like I said, I had been listening to podcasts about the shows, and right now I'm into season 2. So I finished last night season 2, episode 14, and then I have basically listened to a podcast through season 2, episode 12. Definitely done some deep dives. And there was a Tales from the Crypt movie from the 70s, which
That's what I
is
was referring to. It was a
yeah, yeah,
movie in
yeah.
1972.
Yeah,
It
so
was
it
it
was
was
a segment of the movie, correct. So that was actually that's pre Crypt Keeper. So the Crypt Keeper is kind of really known for the television show, which love him or hate him. Like some people just don't like puppets, and that's totally okay. But
I love The Crypt Keeper.
I do too. John Kassir and his voice. Oh, I mean, who you can't not love him. He's the best. I am a big fan of the Crypt. I love like silly puns. To me, his silliness, his goofiness is just such a fun addition to the show. And there are episodes that have some great comedy. One of my favorites, and I'll give you a list at the end of like what I think are not to miss episodes, but there's this one called Cutting Cards, and it is just bananas. And it is funny, it is sick, it is all of the things that you want in a Tales from the Crypt episode.
So, I apologize. I thought they made a movie of just that one story. The
Mm-mm.
movie was an anthology as well,
Correct,
and the
correct.
Crypt Keeper was a person in a cloak.
Not a
I
puppet.
I thought they just turned one comic into an entire film, so I apologize.
Mm-mm.
Mick gets it wrong.
We all get things wrong, it's all good,
I
but,
need a sound effect for that. We need a sound effect when I do that,
the fail
where it just go
horn.
yeah, instead of going,
Womp, womp,
"Epic
womp,
fail,"
womp.
no, I literally want it to go, "Mick gets it wrong." We will make your treadmill recommendations an ongoing segment, and it's good to know that Tales from the Crypt is not one of those, but it's something that you should sit down, invest your time
Oh,
in, and
I
identify the
would
bad
watch
ones and move on.
Yes, and I would watch some of these on the treadmill. It'd have to be the ones that I know that I really enjoy. And, like, the first season, the first episode it's called The Man Who Was Death. I just looked it up because I was like, I have to share that one. It stars, William Sadler in there, and then Walter Hill directed it, but it's like the perfect way to kick off the series, and actually, it came from The Crypt of Terror was the comic book it came from, so that's another thing that I love about the series is you can go out and find the source material comic book, and the people in the podcast I've been listening to have been also reading the comic and talk about how aligned to the comic it was. And again, you think about kind of the 40s, 50s, 60s, what was kind of okay then to put out, for public consumption. And then in the 90s, sometimes they talk about, oh, they should have taken it further. Like, yes, in the 50s, they wouldn't have done that. But in the 90s, you could do that. The Man Who Was Death, that came from the Crypt of Terror. That one, awesome. And All Through the House. That's season 1, episode 2. That is from the Vault of Horror. That was Robert Zemeckis. I recommend it. It's a really fun one. And then I said Cutting Cards. That's from season 2. It's episode 3, and that's for Tales from the Crypt. I would say probably my favorite one of all time. I might come back and eat my words because it's been a long time since I've watched these. And I haven't got to it yet on my rewatch, but I remember it, and it's called Television Terror, and it stars Morton Downey Jr. He's a tabloid news. Do
Yes!
you remember that one? He goes into a haunted house,
I
and
used to watch Morton Downey
yeah,
Jr. way too much. And he basically plays himself in this,
yeah,
of
oh
course.
yes,
It's fantastic.
it might be my favorite one in the whole series. I don't know. The first couple are pretty amazing, but that one is a not to be missed.
I have to agree. It's funny. I totally forgot about it when we were
Mhm.
talking about the topic. I didn't even think of any of my favorite episodes because, of course, I loved this show as a child and I loved watching it again later. Every Halloween, typically, you'll tell me a couple episodes I should watch. But the second you brought up the Morton Downey Jr. episode, I could picture it. I mean,
It came rushing back to you.
rushing back to me. We've got to do him as a topic now in the near
Mhm.
future because it's a great story. He was not afraid to make fun of himself. He was a character of himself, really. He just took it all the
Yeah.
way. There's some of those types of personalities that you kind of like, did they take themselves seriously? Is this really them?
Mhm.
Or are they creating a character? I feel he's admitting by doing this episode that yes, it's a character. He's not that obnoxious, and he just took it to 110,
Yeah.
or as they like to say in Spinal Tap, 11. He took it to 11.
Yeah. Speaking of, Spinal Tap and rock and roll, the one episode I watched last night, which was one I absolutely remembered, watching as a kid-ish, yeah, as a kid, it's called For Crying Out Loud. Stars a rock promoter who plans to run off with all this money from a fundraiser. But what I loved about it is there was a voice in his head, and it was voiced by Sam Kinison, which, "Ah, ah, ah," so it was
Yeah.
fun to hear him, and then Katie Seagal is in it. Iggy Pop has a cameo appearance playing himself. He's the rock band that's playing at this rock club. So
Yep.
that one was so fun because it's a Sam Kinison, Katie Seagal, and then Iggy Pop. I'm like, especially for Gen X, Gen X, that's like a nice trifecta of Gen X love right there.
All of it, with 2 of the 3 having incredible staying power and
Mhm.
careers to today. Obviously Sam Kinison, rest in peace.
Passed away.
But
He was only 38 when he passed away, which I just cannot believe. That was just
I'll be
wild that he was
honest,
so young. Hmm.
you and I are both stand-up comedy fans.
Mhm.
I am a huge buff when it comes to comedians, and I love the backstories, and anytime I find a doc, even if it's a terrible one, I'll
Mhm.
watch it. And the one thing I can say about the 10 to 15 interviews I've seen about Sam Kinison with his peers and the people he hung out with, I'm amazed that he made it to 38 with the amount
Mm.
of alcohol and drugs he ingested. His story's a tragic one too. He's someone that was completely consumed by excess, and it was the end of him. But man, that guy left a mark. You just mentioned his name. Love him or hate him, I can picture him. He's got that stupid hat on in a trench coat, and he's screaming with his Dutch boy hair
Mhm.
peeking out from under that cap. And again, you may truly dislike him, but he's another one who left his mark. And interesting story. Started out as a minister, became a stand-up comedian, and there you go. That's a whole nother topic. Man, speaking of which, I could talk about all this stuff for hours, which obviously we don't have. Hannah, always a pleasure. I love all the stuff you brought up. We've got to
Woohoo!
pick the things we're going to revisit. Man, I look forward to the next time. Hannah Hampton, always a pleasure. Have a great day.